So recently, I was asked to make a video regarding the Supreme Court ruling, and as it relates to the Birthright Citizenship executive order from the Trump administration. So I'm going to do my best to break this down in a very concise and digestible manner. So recently, the Supreme Court ruled on a 6-3 ruling, I believe. The ruling limits the ability of lower federal courts to issue nationwide injunctions. Now, that's basically just an explanation of when, say, Donald Trump says, I'm going to arrest anybody. I'm making an executive order. It's illegal for you to criticize my government. It's illegal for you to make memes of me and make fun of me. I'm going to arrest you if I see you doing that. And that's my new executive order. And a lower court judge would see that and would be like, whoa, heck no, stop that. You can't do that. That's unconstitutional. I am blocking that executive order. The federal courts have an ability to do that. That is part of their judicial powers. If they feel that an order from the executive branch or the legislative branch is unconstitutional, they can block that act until it is appealed and makes it to the Supreme Court, where they can get the final ruling as the highest court in the land. This ruling from the Supreme Court just stripped the lower court's ability to do that. So, let me further explain it. National injunctions are orders that block the implementation of government policies across the entire country. That's what I just explained. So this decision was stemming from the Birthright Citizenship case, and this means that basically judges can generally only block policies from being enforced against specific individuals who brought a lawsuit, not against everyone nationwide. So the only way that if the Trump administration came out and said, hey, we're going to arrest you for making fun of me. You shared a meme and I saw it and I didn't like it, and you were making fun of me and JD Vance and I don't like it and you're going to jail. And they put an executive order saying that they were going to do that. The lower courts no longer have an ability to block that. You now need to sue the government. You now need to either be part of a class action lawsuit, or you need to actually file a lawsuit yourself and sue the government to protect yourself from your constitutional rights being violated. They would violate the First Amendment of the Constitution. You have to protect yourself in that way. But what this does is that in the meantime, while your court case is being moved through the system, that act, that executive order is still going to go in place, which means that if they wanted to come and arrest you, they could, and they would. And they wouldn't be violating anything because their act can still go into place, because the lower courts no longer have an ability to block that act until it makes it to the Supreme Court, or unless your court case is heard, or you're part of a class action lawsuit. That's the only time you're prepared, or the only time you're able to be protected. So if I am on a class action lawsuit but my neighbor is not, they can't kick my door down, but they can kick my neighbor's door down. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is the crazy part, is that even while your case is being heard, they can still, while that case is being active and while their policy is being enacted, they can still kick your door down too. Because it's like the only thing that will prevent them from doing it is the fact that you're being heard in court. But for everybody else who is not part of that lawsuit, yeah, it's bad. So as I said before, nationwide injunctions have been used by both parties, and they've allowed judges to halt the implementation of government policies nationwide while they're under legal review. So like I said, the only protection that you could possibly have from a unconstitutional order is if you were under legal review. Even if it was a lower court, you were part of a class action lawsuit suing the government saying, hey, they can't do that to me. Now, this came from of course, like I said, the birthright citizenship case that Trump was trying to do, which is a violation of the 14th Amendment. And as stated before, this case only allows the order to move forward and only protects those who are not named plaintiffs in lawsuits against the suits towards the government. So what this can and likely will lead to is a situation where the same government policy is enforced for some people, but blocked for others, depending on whether or not they're involved in a lawsuit against the government at that time. So here's the executive order in question. Now, let's preface this. This executive order was not actually the case that was being heard. The case that was being heard was actually the court's abilities to issue nationwide injunctions. That was specifically what was being heard before the Supreme Court. They didn't make a ruling on birthright citizenship, although this is directly related to that case because this was called into question at that time. So this is the executive order, Executive Order 14160. It denies citizenship to persons born from a mother who was unlawfully present in the United States and a father who was not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident at the time of said person's birth, or within person's mother's presence in the United States at the time said person's birth was lawful but temporary. So even if they had temporary protected status, it doesn't matter the status. If they didn't have the exact documentation, the exact paperwork, the exact type of procedural documentation that they want, it doesn't matter if they were visiting on a student, work tourist visa, none of that. None of those at the time of said birth would be considered a U.S. citizen. So it doesn't matter if you were here under some sort of protected status, a work visa, student visa. If you were not, by some definition, considered a perfect citizen at that time, doesn't matter if it was protected status, asylum, it doesn't matter. If you have a child here during any of these times, your child is not considered a citizen. So ending essentially birthright citizenship. But like I said, this is a violation of the Constitution. But don't even take my word for it, right? I don't even have to go pull it from the Constitution. We'll go straight from here. We'll literally read it. This is the White House. I left this in there intentionally. This is from the White House website. I had to go get this from y'all because they put a really weird contradiction in here. So they quote from the Constitution, 14th Amendment states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. That is verbatim what is in the Constitution, United States Constitution. It's there. Boom, 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 boom. But let's come down here a little bit. But the 14th Amendment has never been interpreted to extend citizenship universally to everyone born within the United States. What? You just said it right here. How we doing this? This, I promise you, this is, go look this up. Go look at it and then read it. Read it. They're basically, they're telling you, don't believe what you just read that's coming from the 14th Amendment. Believe what we're saying. This hasn't been interpreted for all persons. It says all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. They're saying anybody born in the United States is a citizen of the United States, but they're saying it was never interpreted to extend citizenship universally to everyone born within the United States. They're saying the 14th Amendment isn't saying what the 14th Amendment says. That's, yes. I can say it. She can say it better than I can.
I'm sorry, I can't believe that we are asking the question, is the 14th Amendment to the Constitution constitutional? That is what, it is crazy. And I am sorry, but people need to call, this is crazy. They're asking us not to believe our own eyes and our own ears. They're asking us to go against everything that we know to be true. This is insane.
I feel like she was fully just channeling all the energy that I have in this video right now, because I'm like, yo, like I'm losing my mind. I've been going crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, she just said it, everything that I've been saying for the last like 5 minutes. She just summarized it right then. But so basically, what happens now? What's about to happen is that because the lower courts no longer have the ability to file nationwide injunctions, no longer have the ability to block unconstitutional acts, and it needs to be appealed or you need to sue the government, what is about to happen is that they are about to release a complete deluge, a slew of unconstitutional orders. They're about to unleash the hounds of unconstitutional acts, executive orders, and they're going to impact so many people that it's not even about to be funny. And you don't have to take my word for it, because they're saying they're going to do it. They're going to stop funding sanctuary cities for their ability to relocate asylum seekers. They're going to pull funding where they deem fit. They're going to go after people regardless of your citizenship status. They're going to end birthright citizenship. I'll let him tell it.
Thanks to this decision, we can now properly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people.
Yeah, because them transgender mice sure are causing us so many problems. Listen, I need you to be aware. They're counting on you to be ignorant. They're counting on you to be complacent. They're counting on you to not vote. They're counting on you to be inactive. They're counting on you to be misinformed. They're counting on you to be outraged about irrelevant stuff. They are counting on you to not care about this stuff that is about to go down. I've been screaming it. I've been talking about it. I've been shouting it. I feel like I'm screaming into the void, but you got to know this stuff. You got to know. And I appreciate you if you sat through this long video, but you got to know this stuff. Keep thinking, y'all.